Hello everyone, I'm back and I'm going to catch you up on what we did today. It was a busy day. I have the hood done and ready to make it out of carbon fiber. So what I've done, some would consider backwards, but it works best for me. Went ahead and the hood scoop is in the center section. The wings, I'll call it, are on the outside. They are the black things. And then underneath that is the red, which is the initial C6 hood. So what I did was I mounted the scoop to the red C6 hood, cut out as much as I could. Some more will be cut out after this is done. Then I put the wings on there to fill the space between the rectangular C2 hood and the odd-shaped C6 hood. So what I did was I put the wings on there and then figured out exactly how to make them. I used a template to make sure those two black pieces are absolutely identical. Of course, from the template, they weren't identical. So I clipped them together and trimmed them so that they are absolutely identical. Mounted that onto the gray piece. Now it's a greenish gray. I don't know if you can tell in this light. And then cut it so that the two butt up against each other. Then I use screws all along there. Self-tapping, they're actually self-tapping, self-drilling, self-tapping screws. Mounted everything. Got it all lined up. And like I said before, instead of measuring everything, I've had marks to make sure everything was aligned and spaced correctly. Found out that if I flipped over these pieces from the way they were, they had kind of a curve, but it wasn't the curve I wanted. I wanted to curve down and out, and it actually curved out and up. So I flipped them side to side, but the back side isn't nearly as smooth because it wasn't meant to be exposed. So what I did was I coated everything with PVA. If you're not familiar with it, this is what it looks like. It is polyvinyl alcohol, I think is what it's called. That's from memory. And what it does is it forms a plastic-like film. There's a little bit right there. Once it dries, oh, that's not dry. Once it dries, it literally, you can peel it off. Or it dissolves in water. And the point of it is to keep the epoxy or resin from sticking to the surface that you're using. Again, a lot of times it would be a mold like this that has a very nice surface. This is all dusty, by the way. It's a lot glossier than it looks. You would put the PVA on there, put the fiberglass or carbon fiber, resin and epoxy on there, and then when you're done, when you go to separate them, the PVA acts as a physical barrier. So you can use wax, you can use semi-permanent mold release, or you can use PVA, or you can use a combination of PVA and either one of those. But instead, I went ahead and coated the whole thing heavily with PVA. So what we're going to do, and what that does is now I can put the carbon fiber and epoxy on top of this, and when it cures, I can separate the two. So I will have a hood, complete hood with the vents that is 100% carbon fiber instead of adding carbon fiber to this. So what I'll do is I'll put a layer of regular woven carbon fiber, which is in here. We have to keep it in the plastic because we're sanding so much. So I'll put a layer of that on first, and then on top of that, we're going to put a layer of chopped carbon fiber to get that chopped carbon fiber look. And then we'll have to put some epoxy on that to even out the surface. And then we'll probably put peel ply on top of that so that we can level out the surface even better. And then after the epoxy cures for like 2 days or something like that, we'll separate the two. All right, along the same lines, there is the roof to the car. It is what goes there. And it has the chopped carbon fiber. Spent the day sanding it flat. And, well, not the whole day, but part of the day. And then there is another piece over here. You should be familiar with the split window. We had it, several last coats of epoxy on it, tinted epoxy. There were some divots, I guess, or I think what it was is air bubbles that were in the epoxy, and they rose to the surface from the heat of the epoxy curing. We could have tried to get rid of them with a heat gun, but what I found out is when I did that, it blew the tint around and made it uneven, more uneven than it already was. So we decided we'd leave it alone and put up with the, I guess it kind of looks like fish eyes, but it's not all the way down to the surface like a fish eye would be. It's shallow. So we sanded those out. This thing is ready to be cleaned up, and then I am going to clear coat it. Same thing with that one. It is ready to go. Has a couple of areas that need repairing, but not very many. And we'll do that. Coat it again with tinted epoxy. Let that cure. Sand that flat and clear coat it. We were hoping to get to the mirror today, but we just busy with all of this stuff, and it's late. Time to go. We're trying to get out of here earlier now that it's getting dark and cold early. And let's see, I think that is it. So I did use the sprayer right there, electric sprayer, to spray the PVA on. It works really good for that. It allows you to mist it on. But in this case, I didn't even try to mist it. I just flooded it because I'm not worried about the surface because it's going to be on the bottom. So it will be way more flat and even and pretty than it needs to be because it's going to be the underside of the hood. And a lot of that will be covered by the framework. Not a lot of it, some of it will be covered by the framework. And then there's going to be aluminum vents in all of those openings. So there won't be a whole lot that'll still be exposed, but it'll look nice. Let's see, yeah, it won't have, well, I guess it will have. I was gonna say it won't have the pattern of the chopped fiber like this, but if you look at this, it's going to look exactly like that. So it will have the pattern of chopped fiber, even though it isn't fiberglass chopped matte, but it'll look like it. Now the center part will be nice and smooth. All right, that's it. I think that's all I've got. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate, share this, and if you don't like what we're doing, you don't know jack. Bye.